I've actually talked about how they like the little banter before we get into the...
I told you that.
I know. Other people have said it.
Yeah.
I said it.
I've heard it.
Why does everything have to be the same all the time?
Why does everything have to be your way?
Why can't we be new and innovative?
Because we're firemen.
Yeah, we don't like change. Haven't you got the memo?
I think that was an email.
You don't know how to use email.
I used email before.
Yeah, like when it first came out in high school, it made you use it.
I used the electronic mail once.
Yeah.
He used AOL. You got mail.
I actually did not use the internet until I went to college.
I remember when I was
believe that.
Little kid.
Old Louisiana, so we're getting them right there.
Middle school.
Dude, I don't even think we had dial-up down there.
Probably not, because you're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You didn't get that signal.
It's like
your telephones.
Did you guys have
Are you still on the party line?
Mom, help! Ah!
No, that's not a party
Or
line.
no, that was the neighborhood.
You can pick up and listen to your neighbor's conversation.
Yeah.
They're talking shit about me.
I knew Randy took my trash can.
No, but I have told this story before. I grew up, we had one TV channel with our antenna until we extended our antenna out, and then we got two TV channels.
You had to go above the tree line.
Did I ever tell you how we extended the antenna out?
Some of Louise.
I don't think so.
Okay, so it's a good story. So we unbolt the antenna from the house, and it's, one of those long poles that, you twist it and it turns, pick up signal better, right? So we unbolt it from the house, the strap that's holding it to the house, and we set it down. And we're trying to extend it out. And of course, me and my dad, not strong enough because this thing has been set up for probably 25 years and it's rusted together and this and that. So we take a piece of rope and wrap it around the bottom of it, and then take another piece of rope to the top, wrap it around, tie it off.
Did you get the four-wheelers out?
Lawnmower.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
That's
and
awesome.
Tied it to the tree to where it was anchored, and then took the lawnmower, shoved it into fifth gear, let off the brake, and just let it jump, and it popped it out.
So it worked.
It worked.
It's not stupid.
Yep. And then we put it back up, bolted it back to the house, and all of a sudden, hey, we got NBC and Fox.
That's the most Louisiana thing.
And then we went out in the backyard and killed some squirrels.
Go Tigers.
Had to get dinner, man.
Hey, man.
You know what? It worked. I don't care. It worked.
And welcome to the Washdown podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Green, co-host Chris Nelson, and with us, our producer, James Moran.
If you guys can hear in the background, there's a lawnmower running because we're having some technical issues, so they're out there solving it right now.
Got to extend that Ethernet cable.
I wonder how you kill the squirrels, though. I mean, I kind of see Jeremy out there with a little sticky sharpened with rocks.
Let's probably just throw rocks at them.
Pecan shells with a slingshot.
Shoe.
Hey, man, I only had one pair of shoes. You can't take the risk of losing one of them.
And besides, I had a hole in it. The squirrel could just go right through it.
He heard it whistling
as it came.
He heard it whistling as it came to. He's like, oh! Not today, size 11 Nike.
Yeah, that was 6th grade, size 11. Jeez.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, I had a thought, and I know it's rare.
I can't get over the lawnmower. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
I can see it. I can see it in my head. All right, let her off.
Whoa, you got it. You got it. Hit the brake.
Yeah, what happens if you went too far? Get the sledge out? Or you going to be like an old-timey knight and be like, all right, start running the tree.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So,
I do love Louisiana, though. I do.
Yeah.
I really like the state.
So, I was thinking on my long drive back on Sunday, because my Jeep broke down again. So, yeah, I know. We've already talked about that. And I know you're fighting it. And I appreciate that. But I had a lot of time to think. As Chris dies laughing.
No, it's because I've got like 20 comments in my head, and I know he's got about 20 in his. Over your top.
We need to do this like a special feature for like 20 minutes. We just rag on Jeremy. Like a roast.
We did that with Rachel. Remember we
Yeah.
started? It
That was a
was like
whole
30
hour.
minutes before we got going on the topic, and even then we kept throwing him in there. And she had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So, but
Anyway, go on with your
anyway,
Be sure to like and subscribe and watch that episode.
yeah.
I gave myself a headache.
So I had a lot of time driving back to think about expectations.
I'm surprised you could hear your thoughts. Oh, sorry. That's it.
Oh.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Well, once I removed those hood vents, dude, you can't believe how loud that thing is. And yeah, it was. I had the radio cranked, which that's another thing. I had to replace the radio before I left. Yeah, it's a never-ending thing. So, but I'm done with it.
It's like a boat,
It
man.
is what it
Jeeps,
is.
boats,
God, it's
motorcycles.
like a boat. My
So,
fuck.
which brings us to the conversation of expectations and letting things go. And when is the point that you have to just say, you know, enough's enough, and I'm going to let it go? And I think for me, I hit that point on this trip on the way back whenever it broke down again for the umpteenth time. Now, whenever it works awesome. I mean, that Jeep will go anywhere. But I just can't rely on it anymore, you know, and trust it. So it's time to, you know, pull the ripcord, as they say, and just let it go. Fix it up, get rid of it, and then move on to something new.
So you're going to buy another second Jeep?
No. I'm just going to keep my Rubicon that I have now. I'm going to put money into that, and which it doesn't really need much, just a couple maintenance things.
New driver.
I mean, it'll get to the point where you got to spend the money, and then
Yeah.
you got the new truck. That's going to be some money.
Yeah.
You know, getting it
Yeah,
ready.
parts for that thing are not cheap. I mean, I've done a little bit of research.
I'm going to laugh when his wife's truck is better than his Rubicon.
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Come on, man. What's mine is yours. What's yours is mine.
Yeah. Well, what's hers is hers, and what's mine is hers. That's
Yeah,
how
see.
marriage works.
Mine's different. It's mine is mine.
And mostly hers.
Yeah.
Nope. It's mine. It's mine.
Yeah.
Really? You get new speakers on your bike?
Going to.
Yeah, who wanted new speakers on your bike?
Just because she wants them.
There we go.
There you
There
go.
we go.
Besides,
Yep.
who's on the bike every single time it goes out?
That's not the point. Who wanted new speakers on the bike?
Yeah. Who's losing storage space for those new speakers?
Not going to use storage space.
Yes, you are.
No.
Don't let them lie to you, dude.
No.
That's
That's
not
why
how-
I'm getting the extended bags.
and you're going to end up with about the same space or less than.
And a better look. And a louder stereo.
That your wife wanted. Exactly. Anyway.
Yeah. So moving on. Expectations.
It's hard being right, you know.
Yeah, I know. I was wrong once.
But I was right that I was
I
wrong.
was right that I was wrong.
I've made one mistake my whole life. Sitting here with you two idiots.
So
That's why there's beer in there.
anyway, so I was thinking about the expectation of, you know, whenever you go into treatment and, you know, basically you get better. And then especially if it's an inpatient thing, whenever you come out, the tendency is to have an expectation of, well, now that you're better, everything's better. And a lot of people, and I think I might have been a little bit guilty of this myself, a little less so than some other people I know. but that's not how things work. It's just because you're better doesn't mean all the problems went away. You know, you still have to come out and you have to deal with real life, and you have to deal with everything that put you into treatment to begin with.
I know when I came out of treatment, it put in and I don't know how it was for you. Looking back on it, it was almost like treatment was the vacation, and I had to come back to reality. I had the luxury of just having to focus on myself. Mm-hmm. And then you come back out to having to focus on the mess you created before you went in there. And that was, looking back on it, where the real work started for me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it kind of sounds like the show The Good Place. You watched it, right?
The Good Place?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So humans are one way on Earth, and they get the point value, and that's how you get to the good place or the bad place, right? Mm-hmm. So when you take away all the factors, like some people would give their grandma flowers as the example they use in the show.
Yeah.
And 600 AD or whatever, and they got 5 points from it. Mm-hmm. But then today, you give your grandma flowers, and you get negative 34 points. Because it's all the bad stuff that goes into pesticides, the human trafficking that help pay for it, and, you know, just break it in, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then when you take away all of that, all the people they were in, the 4 humans that were in the good place got better. Kind of like that with treatment. You take all those outside factors out, and you get better. But on the outside, everybody's getting worse because they're stewing because of what put you in there and what you might have done to that person and not realized it.
Yeah.
So that person doesn't heal, and then you come out and you're better, but they're mad at the world still and you. And then,
if not even more mad at you, because
you're better. You're happy, and they're not.
Yeah.
And they're going to take out their frustration and anger on you,
and that
was cause you to start going downhill again.
I don't know about you, but I didn't see it coming. I never thought about it until I was out, and I'm like, oh yeah, we still got to talk about that.
So the program that I was in was very good, and that's the only one I can speak to because it's the only one I've ever been in. But they were very good about like setting that up for you and making you aware that, hey, just because you've been in here and you're, better doesn't mean that everybody else is. And all the stuff that happened, you still have to deal with that and, be prepared because there's, I can't remember which term they used, but it's basically like the treatment hangover, like 6 months or 10 months out, you're going to hit a wall and it's going to be, shit's going to get bad, which, thankfully it didn't happen for me because I think I managed my expectations a little bit better.
I think it helped you being married to somebody who does that for a living, who's a counselor.
Yeah.
That definitely helps you out a lot, where a lot of people don't have that. It's an advantage.
Yeah.
When it comes to you healing and her healing and the people that are close to you.
Yeah. Which I don't disagree with that at all. I credit Rachel with, she had so much influence on the recovery and being able to stay that way with how she was towards me.
She knew what to look for if you started slipping.
Well,
see those signs real quick.
Not even that, but not doing like, I'm not going to mention any names or anything like that, but I know of people, what we'll say, that haven't had that from their spouse or from the people in their lives, and they've not done well because they don't have that support system, and
while you were in there, her and I talked all the time because she needed an outlet too, but it kind of prepared me for what was going to happen. That way I wouldn't just come in and be me and send you right back into it.
Yeah.
You got to be a little nicer. I am nice. No.
Hey,
Not
asshole!
you're nice. Not you're nice. Real nice.
No,
Oh.
actual nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, that helps because now people that, making somebody like me aware of it, who's never done the treatment or anything like that,
Yeah.
but what to expect coming out.
Yeah. So, and then also, even broadening that out is, the people, like you said, you talked about, of the people that that you interact with, your group of friends, they're going to see you differently. That's just the fact of the matter, is that's what it's going to be. And you have to prepare yourself for that.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, you may lose friends. You're probably going to gain friends, but that's just a normal course of life. I mean, I don't think anybody.
But a lot of people are going to see you different. They don't understand.
Yeah.
It's just like anything that somebody doesn't understand, or you hear. If people don't, it's like rumors. Don't believe rumors.
Yeah.
If you didn't see it, don't believe it.
Yeah.
Because only about a third of it's true, if that. Same thing because they come out of treatment. If you don't understand, your opinion is going to be wrong.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I've had multiple conversations with several people who think they're experts on
You talking about us?
treatment and mental health. No, not you.
He's
two
talking
guys.
about himself.
I mean, I know I'm not an expert. I just
Yeah.
know what I've seen.
But people that have no clue and will sit there and make comments and, oh, this is all you have to do and this is that. No, that's not how the brain works. That's not how your body works. That's not how, how you get better.
Yeah.
All the things that you're saying, yeah. I mean, they sound great. How do you do them? What's the technique? What's the coping skill?
You can't just get over it.
Yeah.
As much as we
Yeah.
all want to, you can't just let it go and
No.
you can't sing the Frozen song and be happy
Yeah.
in 4.5 minutes.
Well, that's the thing. It's a process. And people
It's a
have
slow
to,
process.
and especially in our profession, we don't like slow processes.
No.
We are, let's get in, let's get it fixed, and let's move on. And that's not how it works, especially with mental health. And people don't understand that. And maybe that's part of,
I think that's part of the education, the culture change
Yeah.
that needs to happen, and just realizing. I mean, it's gotten better. It's gotten so much better.
Jeremy, I think even kind of expanding on what you talked about, that, some of our viewers may not have went through treatment. And we talked a little bit off camera, like just going through traumatic situations as an individual, the expectation of those around you, especially if like death of a loved one or something like that, you take time off work, get affairs in order, not even necessarily like mental health in order, just get affairs in order after a death.
yeah,
And you come back to work, and then, especially in like a firehouse or in a police station or in the hospital, just the expectation of your coworkers that you're close with. Because, in those professions, we are close, but we're fixers. And sometimes, I started doing something with my grandpa when he starts getting upset. And I'm like, do you want a solution or you want sympathy? I was asking. He's like, both. Sometimes. But, that's... It's something that I've had to, even looking back in my previous marriage, was I wasn't always the most available to just listen. A problem would be presented, and I'd be like, well, we have to solve this. Solve it now. We'll get to your feelings later. We got to solve the problem.
I think that's a male thing too, though.
But that wasn't always necessarily
what was needed.
Mm-hmm. Or even correct, period, sometimes. Sometimes there was no solution. There was this venting about it. But it is just as we have to prepare, like for, if we've been in treatment, or even if we've taken time away from work or family or friends, to solve a problem, just like we have to prepare to deal with the real world when we get back. Those around us and those that love us have to prepare for us when we come back. And it's hard because, again, if we don't know, but even at the same time, your treatment may have been different than my treatment, may have been different than Chris's treatment, may have been different from Joe Schmo's treatment. It's not, nothing's ever exactly the same. So you can't ever have some, curriculum for a proper response because it's just so variable.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, with going through everything and learning what I've learned about mental health and treatments, and there is no one treatment that works. I mean, we could have the same problem and 2 totally different treatments would work. Whatever works for me won't work for you, and vice versa. And I think, as far as for family members and friends and all that stuff, that's no different. There's an education piece, but then also, an understanding that has to, be made available to them, which I think by and large is not done. And I mean, it's where do you draw the line? Who's going to do that? Who's responsible for that? Whatever. And I don't think there's a good answer for that. It kind of falls on, and that's why I look at it as from the person who's gone through treatment from that perspective. It's kind of your responsibility to manage your own expectations and understand what's going on.
So when you went through yours, were you allowed to have visitors? Mm-hmm. Because I know you did.
Yeah.
I know Rachel went down there. I went down there. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of gave you a little bit of an insight for me going in blind.
Yeah.
And seeing what's going on. You kind of talked about it, what your treatment was. But I think if they do a family day or whatever, you have visitors, they could give you something, at least like minimum pamphlet. This is what's going to happen. It doesn't matter what you're in for. These are our steps. This is what they're going to go through, and this is what's going to happen when they get home. And maybe kind of prepare you as being on the outside of what needs to be done to heal for yourself. You know what I mean? And then to help them heal, and then heal together.
Yeah.
And pamphlet's bare minimum. Cliff notes or whatever you want to call it, but something.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, depending on the situation, obviously, because every situation is different. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe there should be counseling both ways.
Yeah.
And that's something to think about. Yeah. Because, I mean, let's just be perfectly honest. Whenever, whoever goes through whatever they go through, that's a traumatic event for the family.
Especially because a lot of these times, too, there's a traumatic event that precedes all of it.
Yeah. So why is it okay to think that the family doesn't need some kind of support and help? It's just this person. I mean, yeah, this person may be, quote unquote, the problem, but he's put the family through all kinds of trauma.
Yeah. But I think that comes down to a couple things. One, people not wanting to get help or refusing to. Family-wise, like, no, I'm not the problem. They are.
Yeah.
They need to fix it.
Yeah.
I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
So changing that mentality. And then, unfortunately, the biggest piece, what everything comes down to in this world, money.
Yeah.
That'd be expensive to fund, pay for out of pocket.
Yeah.
Does your insurance cover it? Do you have insurance? I'm not sure what insurance covers or what ours does as far as getting counseling help. If there's a copay, if it's an expensive copay, if you get so many free sessions.
Could you imagine what veterans of the police and fire department would be like if we actually you can't imagine, and I'll follow it up. If we didn't have at least like decent insurance available to us. Think about like the military veterans we see with their compounding mental health and they're homeless and they just like it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Mm-hmm. And it's just Like sometimes I don't think we realize how blessed we are to at least have some sort of opportunity available.
I mean, our insurance is, I have no complaints.
Yeah.
We have really good insurance. But I think another big factor that I hadn't got to yet was staffing. There's one mental health professional for 1 million people? Maybe. I don't know what the exact numbers are, of course, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's one to a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
You know.
if you're looking, and since you brought up the military, we'll hit that real quick.
You heard about the latest veteran suicide, didn't you? The kid that played in Ricky Bobby? Or not Ricky Bobby,
Talladega Nights?
Talladega Nights. One of his kids. I think it was the younger one that I'll come at you like a spider monkey.
Uh-huh.
Killed himself. He was a veteran.
I didn't know that.
I want to say it was Army. I think he was a Ranger, maybe is what I read. I think. But I know he was in the military.
Yeah.
But I read the article and he killed himself.
And
He was 28, 29, something like that. Young.
hadn't heard that.
But I mean, it just goes right into what we're talking about.
Well,
and the help and all
yeah.
that.
Well, and the thing is, what I was going to say is you look at wait times to get in. So, like, if you're a veteran and you're trying to go through the VA, you know, to get your mental health, whatever, to see your psychologist or therapist or whatever, you're talking, 6-month wait times or longer.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't wait that long when you're in crisis.
The amount of veterans that we have and the amount of counselors we have or therapists or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. Well, and it's no different than, us in the fire service. Is because we don't deal with crap until we get to that crisis point. Well, then, I'm going to call a therapist. Great. Okay, I can get you in 3 months from now on a Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm on shift that day.
Next opening is 4 months out.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it works.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if it's just a shortage of therapists.
I think that's with
everybody.
It's a very specialized job and a lot of schooling, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
So again, we're going back to money.
And they don't make very much.
And they don't make a whole lot. So now you got a mountain of student debt, and you're making pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. I would like to see the numbers of therapists that start out and then switch to a different career field because they can't make a living at it.
Yep. It's kind of like social workers.
Mm-hmm.
You just
long hours, low pay, doing a critical job that there's never enough time or money for.
And even if you are you get your report in and you know something needs to get done, mm-hmm. There's so much red tape that you have to go through that you don't always get the right outcome. Doesn't always happen.
No,
just because you know what needs to be done doesn't mean you can do it. Because if you go around that red tape, well, now you're wrong. You could lose your job. You could lose
your license.
Everything. Your license. You could lose your freedom.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous. And I know people don't like to think about it, but even being a therapist or a counselor or psychologist could be dangerous.
Absolutely.
Because you never know that person sitting across from you is going to snap, and you're trying to help, but you're also trying to be honest.
Yeah. Something I'll never. People sometimes in fire, civilians are like, "Oh man, we could never do your job. We couldn't see the blood, or we couldn't do the fire." With fire cops, like, "Oh, we couldn't do all." Like, I couldn't be a therapist, man. I could not for 8 hours a day take on the problems of the world and not be able to do a damn thing about it. Really. You are a verbal punching bag for everything that goes on, and somehow you're supposed to make sense of it and help them cope with it. And turn around and do it again. And turn around and do it again. Yeah. And turn around.
And adjust per person.
I couldn't do it, man. I'm telling you, I couldn't do it.
You see 8 people in a day, and all 8 are completely different. And you got to be able to switch gears.
That sounds terrible. And it's not and like
Special breed, man.
it's not a knock on the people to do it. Like I don't know how they do it. I don't know how Rachel puts up with you, let alone does that job.
Well,
Yeah, she's 24 hours.
yeah.
The only break she gets is when you're at work. And then she's like, "Oh, he's calling me."
Well, that's true. She's a saint. But yeah, well, just talk about that a little bit. I mean, you nailed it whenever you said, well, there's people that say I could never do this, I can never, and then you turn around and go, well, I could never do that. It's about perspective and what your passion is and what your niche is and what you're supposed to be doing with your life. Because whenever you find that thing, like we've talked a million times, and, about this type of stuff, I couldn't be a cop. There's no way. I'd be a terrible cop. First, I'm allergic to lead, so I don't want to get shot at. It's just a
He got shot in the leg. Yeah, but he's dead.
Yeah,
He's allergic.
yeah. It's just a terrible joke. But no, I mean, dealing with, you think about it, they show up on scene, nobody's really ever happy to see the police. Because that means somebody's going to jail. Whenever we show up on a scene, everybody's happy to see us. We typically don't have to deal with the verbal abuse and all that stuff. And I'm not that type of person. Like, I would get fired probably on my first day because somebody would say something.
You are not allowed to run him over with your patrol car, Mr. Green.
See, what happened
As soon as
was,
he'd make it out of the academy.
but you got hair stuck in your throat?
I think all the
Allergies.
pollen and all the
pollen.
allergies
Yeah.
kicking up. I usually get allergies.
There's a guy that drives a black car at our station. I walked out this morning. I'm like, that car's not black. That's yellow.
Yep.
Shit.
It's that time of year. Gotta get the Zyrtec out or whatever. I don't know what's up there.
Allegra.
I don't know what's up there.
I
just take it.
I
It says
literally
allergy.
rotate
I take
between
it.
Allegra, Zyrtec, and Clarence until it just gets better.
Yeah.
I took the drowsy one day. Oops.
Yeah.
Got up in the morning, took it. I was like, why am I so tired? Gotta get the car and drive to work. Hey, you're driving today. Sweet.
Brisket. I pulled something similar to that. I was having some back issues, and I took a couple of muscle relaxers.
Take the wrong ones, did you?
No, I mean, I just took 2 instead of 1, and then I went and tried to go play softball.
That was probably the most fun everybody else on your team had. Like, Jeremy is so nice tonight.
Dude, I could not run. My legs did not want to work. I couldn't run around the bases. I was moving in slow motion. It was terrible.
I had a bad wisdom tooth before it was taken out. So I haven't been on narcotics since college. I got hooked on them too easy. It was a bad deal. And I just have been lucky enough to have the self-control to stay away from them. Mm-hmm. So anytime anything bad happens, I'm talking like once a year maybe I take Tylenol, and it works because I never take it. And I'm like, oh, God. So
Don't take the PMs, dude.
it was bad. And there's this guy out of my academy class. I love him to death. He's so sweet. He's the kindest soul you'll ever meet. He's just a couple crayons short. And so, like, I am, like, in the ambulance, and I'm just, like, shaking. I'm in so much pain from this damn wisdom tooth. He's like, dude, I got something. I'm like, what's that? He's like, acetaminophen? I was like, oh, Tylenol. Yeah, I'll take it. Acetaminophen. Slash.
Hydrocodone.
Hydrocodone. Took 2.
Oh.
So, like, maybe half an hour later, we're on a call. This guy's talking to me. I'm just like, huh? Yeah, man, that's fine. We'll go. Let's get in the ambulance. Like, what? I'm like, yeah, let's get in the ambulance, man. It's all good. It's just like, oh, my God. And then, like, the next morning, I woke up and I'm like, oh, I feel fantastic. And they're like, dude, we got to talk about last night. I'm like, what? And this guy, he's like, dude, after I gave you that, my meds, like, he's like, I know you said you, like, do weird on Tylenol, but that was weird. I'm like, Yeah, and I was like, well, let me see the bottle. I'm like, you son of a bitch! Oh, so bad. I was just like, oh my God.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you don't take pills from people.
Well, hang on now.
I mean, unless you're at a rave and, you know.
Oh, man, it was,
I took some muscle relaxers one time. I didn't know that they were supposed to be cut in fourths. I took 2. This is the best 15 hours of sleep I've ever gotten. I woke up. I was like,
a resting heart rate of 10.
I was like, I feel great. I didn't know they were supposed to be cut in fourths.
Yeah.
But I'd thrown my back out.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stand up. I couldn't lay down.
That's the weird
That's
thing.
the worst.
Like, I've broken my leg, I've broken a collarbone, broken an arm, broken my jaw. And
Maybe you
still,
shouldn't fight
You
people.
seem kind of fragile.
it still never compares to pain of wisdom tooth, dropping a speaker on my toe, or shutting this finger in the door of a pumper. Those are the top 3 worst
You
pains
know what?
of my
You know that
life.
trip we're going on in August?
Yeah.
He ain't going.
No.
What?
Well, we're just afraid that riding more than 10 miles, your butt will break or something.
I'm afraid we pull up to a gas station. He'd put his feet down. Somehow he'd still fall over
Yeah.
and have his bike on top of it.
I didn't see nothing. Get through it quick.
Is that guy with you? No.
Click, 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 click. Smile. Come on. We'll get.
I would get a Facebook account for that.
Oh, man.
I didn't realize what was Samuel Jackson's character in Unbreakable called?
Mr. Glass?
Mr. Glass.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Glass. But it's stupid shit. That's what makes me mad. Like, it's never like, oh, man, like, he was doing something heroic. No, like, riding 3-wheelers and doing dumb shit. That's
Yeah.
how knocked myself out cold one time opening my car door too fast. Yep, did that. I was in a hurry, and it was just one of those, like,
This just goes to show you that anybody can be a paramedic.
fluid, like fluid motions where you're like, you kind of open the door and you're hopping it at the same time. Mm-hmm. Well, if I would have moved my head this way, where the car door was going like here. So like, I was like foot in, 1 foot off the air, flinging open the car door and just bow. And I don't think it was the car door necessarily that knocked me out, but when my head then hit the concrete, because 1 foot was in the car, that's what knocked me out. I can't
You know what?
wait to
I changed my
donate my.
mind.
I can't wait to donate my brain to science. Can't wait.
I totally changed my mind. I want him to go. I want him to be there. Because that's going to be so much fun.
Hey, as long as you guys are fine with spending half the trip in the ER, fine.
Oh, no, we'll give you the route.
Hey, doctor, how's he doing? Well, he's intubated. Well, when he wakes up, here's the route for our trip.
Just staple this to his chest. He won't notice.
Yeah.
He may not make it. Well, if he does, here we go.
Yeah.
Wait, call this number. Somebody will answer.
Yeah. He'll catch up.
Fire dispatch. Oh, shit.
This is James Moran. You guys have a truck and trailer?
Oh, no, sorry. Jeremy Green has it.
Yep.
Oh. Yes.
You were talking about the bubble boy?
Yeah.
No argument here.
Hey, man. Injuries are just part of the job. It is what it
You know,
is.
speaking of that, I was going to say something earlier about it. When I was doing every time I've done physical therapy, whether it was my shoulder or my hips, every 5 or 6 sessions, they have you fill out a little form. And on there, it's, about your progress.
How are we
and all
doing?
that.
I still hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it says, it talks about, do you feel this injury is getting better? You feel like you're going to get back to work? Are you depressed about it? So, I mean, they're legit asking about your mental health with it. Because there is that fear of, is this the one? That, and I didn't have any worries about either of the injuries or, I know my hips are going to go again, but I don't worry about it being a career ender or getting back to it. But, because the first time I saw it, I was like, seriously?
I don't think they had that questionnaire whenever I went through physical therapy for my knee.
Yeah, but that was like 1975.
It was not that long ago.
Sorry.
And I'm
85.
not that much older than you two.
Seriously?
How old are you?
41.
You're a decade older than me. Mm-hmm. You're over a decade older than me. Mm-hmm. Over 2 presidential terms older than me.
And?
That's old, buddy. That's old.
This 41 is not old.
That's the new 30. Didn't you know?
That's over the hill.
No.
Yeah. That is over the hill.
All right. Well, whenever you hit 41, you let me know how you feel.
Good, and then I'll happily remind you that you'll be 52.
And I'll have been retired for 3 years.
He's going to be like one of those, he's going to have a whole brand new body at 41 at this point.
Yeah.
He's going to be like the Terminator.
My knees
And
are
that's
bone on
how
bone.
Skynet starts.
Yep. That's ground zero.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm going to be a great robot ruler.
He's going to be like Bender from Futurama. Kill all humans.
Not my stabbing knife.
Dude, I can't
That was
wait.
Roberto. Yeah, I love that show.
Yes, I know.
I watch it all the
I
time.
love that show
I'm
too.
not gonna lie, like, and this is dead ass serious. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, like, just everybody has that thought. They're like, "Man, wonder what my death is gonna be like," or just I have those same thoughts, and then I, honest to God, end those thoughts by reminding myself that that'll be like 40 years in the future, and I'll probably have a robotic body or something, and I'll be fine.
You'd be a head in a jar.
Yeah.
It'll totally be ahead of the jar.
I don't think technology is going to quite get there.
Really?
By that time.
Really? Did you think we've had these 20 years ago?
20 years ago?
30
Yes.
years ago? 40 years ago?
I do remember.
I wasn't
when
thinking anything 40 years
I
ago.
remember that bag cell phone.
I was thinking about I want a bottle.
40 years ago. Mm-hmm. Would you ever thought we'd have the iPhone now?
Again.
You could order a pizza without ever actually talking to anybody.
I know, it's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. You could stay in your house and never come out.
Yeah, I'm
You
just
can do
saying.
everything from your cell phone.
Think
even
about all
work.
the shit we're going to be able to do that we can't even fathom now in 40 years.
Yeah. And that will be the decline of society. Because
Nuh-uh.
humans...
And the rise of robots.
humans,
Surrogates. Bruce Willis movie. Come on.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it. But let me make my point. Humans mentally are not wired that way.
I'll be
That
wired
is
however I want
probably-
because I'll be designed. My body will be designed.
That is probably why, or one of the contributing factors of being so reliant on technology, one of the contributing factors of why mental health as a whole has degraded how it has in our country and worldwide.
You know-
because we don't get the social interaction. We are typically or essentially herd animals.
Do you know the United States' highest week of suicides? Do you know what it was?
No.
It's a week after Robin Williams killed himself.
Okay. Expound.
So, and I'll, I can bring it for a different episode or just send you guys a link. But there's a study that talks about how in a world of being connected and how and it does have its benefits and instantaneous information. Whenever there's like prominent celebrity suicides, we see a spike in the nation in suicides.
So there's a book that Rachel put me onto, and I listened to it on Audible audiobook. It's called Tribe by Sebastian Junger, and that's basically the premise of the whole book of how indigenous tribes and modern people, the difference, and like the levels of suicide, mental health, and all of that stuff. They don't have that in those small communities that, you know, they share everything and, you know, all of that people are happier. But whenever you get to our society and how it is now, people are unhappy, they're cut off, they feel disconnected. That's all a byproduct of how our society is.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's a correlation between social media, technology,
Oh,
and
absolutely is.
Because,
I mean, people are famous for nothing. I mean, literally famous you have no particular skill. You're
Had a billion
you're a
years.
worthless individual. You bring nothing to the community as a whole.
But you got a
Yet-
YouTube page.
But, well, it's not even that. You have your own reality show about
Oh, yeah.
you being an idiot, basically. And you're famous and you got all this money, and people look at that and they try to emulate you. There's no,
Did
know.
Did you ever watch the Newsroom? With,
yeah, I
Jeff
watched.
Daniels?
Yeah, I watched the first season.
That opening of that show
Yeah,
was the greatest opening I have ever seen.
yeah.
And even if you don't like it and what he has to say,
It's the truth.
100% accurate.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, you get looked down if you're smart. Mm-hmm. Or people look down at you. I know I said that wrong, but they degrade you. You know, you show somebody something with facts. No, you're wrong. No. But and then technologies, the misinformation that's out there, on everything,
well, yeah.
and nobody wants to take that extra 5 seconds and look it up. And go past the first page of Google.
Well, and then even then, you're sifting through this mountain of data from all these different sources that are supposed to be reputable. Which one do you believe? Because this one says one thing, this one says the exact opposite, but they're both supposedly who you're supposed to rely on for
So-
information.
I don't know if it's up yet, the episode we shot, but by the time this one is, it'll be up.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that study last time. You remember
No, you have to.
about the mental health study where it was like 95% white males in the study.
Oh, yeah.
That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Is they do these studies, and it's tailored. It doesn't show the.
Well, yeah.
It's not based on the
that's-
population,
Yeah, that's confirmation bias. They know the result they want to get,
and they know how to get it,
and they know how to get it.
and that's what. And
It's like how our field dispatch
Not that I'm-
cooks numbers. Oh, you guys were not driving backwards 9/10. Like, I'm just like, really? That's what we're.
Yeah.
but the problem is, I mean, and it covers mental health too, and you see it in every aspect. And I'm not trying to get political, but each side's trying to prove their point instead of putting out the actual information. Like this shows both sides. This shows everybody. This class of people as their suicide rate is this, like upper class, middle class, lower class. And then they don't break it down by, and there it is kind of broken down by a little bit by your race and gender and all that. But I don't think they're looking at everything as a whole. They take, okay, well, in the white, if you're white, you're 28%. If you're black, you're 10%. Asians are 3%. If you're male, you have a 20% chance, and female, it's like 23. I don't remember exactly what it was, but so they take all these numbers, like, okay, so everybody, you have a 27.37% chance of committing suicide, and I'm just making up numbers.
Yeah.
But that's what they're doing instead of
They're not using the scientific method.
no, they're not.
You know, and that's what's interesting. I think as a
It doesn't prove your point if you
as a
scientific
country, not just not a fire service, but as a country, I don't want to like obviously make it a race thing and say mental health is geared towards the white male in the United States. But it's interesting, you know, we look at the fire service and we talk about the need for cultural competency, right? Like those helping us need to be competent and understand the culture of which we live in order to best treat it. I'm sorry, but if you know of any Asian specific counselors or Hispanic specific counselors or Methodist specific counselors or Islam specific counselors, let me know because I have yet to see them.
They're out there. So,
But they're far and in between, I bet.
well, so, and I'll just give you my experience. Rachel worked at a place that, by and large, the population that they served was Hispanic. So she had to be culturally competent and understand that culture basically to work there and to be able to serve those clients. So there are places out there like that. Are they few and far between? Yeah, I don't think most counselors specialize specifically in that kind of thing, unless they're doing like a traveling thing where they're going to another country and they're serving.
I'll tell you who
that
has
way.
the right idea, but they're just even far in between would be our Indian reservations. You know, like I don't know how many times, like, hey, we'll pay for your school if you go do this and come back to the reservation, or, you know, go do that and come back to the reservation. Mm-hmm. Problem is they just don't have the resources necessary to be able to, running out of the resources necessary to be able to do that.
But that's also that tribe mentality Jim was talking about earlier. Because it's going to, if the four of us come together and pay for you to go to college and get that education, and you come back, now all the money we put into you is going to pay for itself with us because you're going to make the tribe better.
You know, I do. Ooh, that would be a interesting subject one day.
So
Mental health on Indian reservations, though, because that may be the one that is so opposite of the tribe mentality.
It could be. But I mean,
that is
honestly,
more true isolation.
yeah,
I've never been to an Indian reservation. Never. I don't know anything about it.
yeah.
Except what you see on a documentary, and
There's
how much that can you believe?
Mental health on Indian reservations is
Yeah.
a lot
So-
room for improvement.
Whenever I was getting ready to graduate high school, and it kind of ties into this a little bit. Louisiana had a program. Basically, if you agreed,
What's Louisiana, by the way?
it's a state.
Oh, did you know that?
It's right between Texas and Mississippi.
Oh, I thought that was just a void space.
They don't have counties. They have parishes.
Yep.
Oh,
Because of the French.
Because yes,
it's because
Anyway,
everybody in that
And
state
the whole state's below sea level.
everybody in that state wants to perish. Sorry, go ahead.
it's because
that was
it's under
dark.
Napoleonic law, and that's why it's a parish. Whatever. Anyway, they had a program that if you would agree to stay in Louisiana and teach, be a teacher in Louisiana in the state, basically you would go to college for free. And you had to stay in the state and teach for, I think it was like 5 or 6 years.
A lot of
the-
states did that.
Yeah, but the reason that Louisiana was doing it, because I was going to do that, and then I found out why, is because the average salary of a teacher in the state of Louisiana was actually below the national poverty level by about $7,000. So what people would do would get their teaching degree, come to school in Louisiana, then drive 20 miles over to Texas and make twice as much money.
Could you imagine a bunch of little kindergartners? Mr. Green! Mr. Green!
Yeah, because that would be the class that I was going to teach.
No, I see you as a gym teacher.
Yep. Gym teacher and a basketball coach.
You and everybody else.
Yep.
We're like, sorry, Mr. Green, we have a kindergarten or 8th grade math.
I failed 8th grade math. I can't do that.
You know who the smartest teacher in high school is?
Who? A shop teacher.
A gym teacher. He makes the same amount, or she makes the same amount as everybody else, and they get to do gym all day long. Come on.
Yeah.
You get to wear shorts, and T-shirts,
So if that's your perspective, yes.
and sweatpants.
I mean, that's got to be the dream.
And back when we were in school, we got to play dodgeball.
Yes.
And bombardment.
We called it killer ball.
That doesn't surprise me. I always like bombardment.
Rest in peace, poor little Johnny.
Yeah.
His family's still suing.
Don't hit him in the face. Okay. Always aiming for the face.
That wasn't even a rule until I was in 8th grade, and a girl got hit in the face and broke her glasses, and then we couldn't play anymore.
Why are you wearing your glasses in gym class?
Because she had to wear glasses because she couldn't see.
I got goggles, man. James
But
Avery.
yeah, she still didn't see the ball coming at her face. So were they really that effective?
Oh,
How many pro athletes wore goggles in basketball?
none anymore, really.
Let's go LASIK
Yeah.
contacts. But back in the day, it was great big.
Again, you're talking about BFE Louisiana. She's going to go buy goggles for 1 hour a day of doing something she hated.
We better get a doctor's note. I love gym class.
That was my favorite.
I think that's just about every boy's favorite class is gym class.
But we had like,
It was until they had to
did
run,
you guys have
run
those
the mile.
foam
Like,
balls? Not like a normal like rubber dodgeball, but those like thick foam balls.
Yep.
No.
We had some
So
of
we
those.
we had like those indoor soccer balls that were like these just thick foam things, and they didn't like bounce like dodgeballs. They just thudded.
Yeah.
They were fantastic for drilling people in the dome with those things because the inertia behind those suckers, because they probably weighed.
I'm talking about neck injuries and all kinds of stuff.
They had to have weighed
Be in your A game.
3 or 4 pounds a piece, like just these thick, like basketball size, a little smaller than basketball size, like foam ball.
Even if you
No,
caught
we
it, you
had
lost.
We had the rubber. We had some of the bigger rubber balls, but
played
then we had a
kickballs.
lot of the smaller ones that were like, I mean, just hand size, a little bit bigger than a softball.
Mm-hmm.
And whew, yeah,
I like playing kickball too. It was inevitable somebody was going to take one to the face.
See, I hate kickball because I just popped it up every time. I'm like, that's stupid.
yeah.
You can't
I
kick
was
it with the
never a
point of your
kickball
toe, man.
fan.
I just like,
Now I played kickball as an adult, and that was super fun. But
It sounds dangerous.
yeah, it was cool for what it was.
I liked football, basketball.
and that's where the trauma started.
Yeah. Anyway, so expectations and letting shit go.
Dodgeball.
Yep. Get a lot of aggression out in dodgeball.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is it really the most helpful coping strategy?
It worked, and I didn't have any problems with it afterwards.
Yeah.
Now, other people, on the other hand,
So I went to multiple, 2 different high schools, and I won't tell you which one, but gym class was the best in one of them. There's 2 rules: can't say the F word, can't say the P word. Everything else was fair game, even fist fights.
Yeah, fist fights were never allowed.
we had fist
I didn't
fights.
say they were allowed. I just said
Well, I'll tell you this.
just
The
nobody
res-
said anything.
The
Get
response, the response to them. You want to talk about letting shit go? The response to fights, I'm sure with clearly everybody, was just different growing up. Like it was.
Oh yeah.
To me, that taught how to let shit go. That was the like, we got an issue, let's address it, let's solve it, and then let's learn to move on.
Yeah.
And like that is a critical skill that we are dwindling. Now, I'm sure there are other appropriate ways.
Well, I'm not saying a fist fight with
But, like-
when you're in high school or even as an adult is appropriate. I mean, you're talking.
but it worked.
Well,
I mean,
it
I'm not gonna
was
throw a punch
immediate,
unless I have to.
immediate consequences, and that's the thing. You know, if you said something or did something, you were faced with the consequences right then.
And you
Not-
learn by that.
Yeah, not, hey, I'm going to be a keyboard warrior and say all this mean crap to someone that I'm never going to see or that I'm never going to have to physically interact with. There are no consequences in that, you know. And, I mean, think about it. Especially whenever I was a kid, if you had a fist fight, it was a fist fight. That's all it was.
That's as far as it went.
Now it's I'm pulling out a gun.
Yeah. Now you might get stabbed. You might get shot, you know.
You probably get stabbed or something. It's not
Yeah.
my. You probably will.
So the
You just
world
never
is,
know that.
yeah, the
It's
world
different.
has changed. It's different.
And and not to make a stretch here, but to me, I do think that implies mental health. It entails back to mental health because it's conflict resolution, and it's not just like conflict resolution. Like I have a problem with somebody. It's conflict resolution of I have a problem with anything, and we're only, that skill is dwindling,
And nobody knows how to work through a problem
and it.
without
Or
trying to
solve.
offend somebody.
Yeah.
Or I said the meaner thing, you know. And
It's all
How to be
escalation
an
and not
adult.
de-escalation anymore.
yeah,
And I think it, and
maturity level I think has dropped.
to me,
I agree.
I think that cripples our mental health service. I'll see, I'll give you an example. We have, a local children's hospital here in the metro area, and a lot of the transfers that our fire service runs out of it are all like to children's psychiatric centers for threatening of like suicidal ideations. You know, and so I've lost the count of how many times, you know, what's going on. Well, mom wouldn't buy him the Xbox, so I threatened suicide, and mom brought him here. Well, here's the first problem. Earn the Xbox. Here's the second problem. They threatened suicide. And here's the third problem. Mom had no coping skills either and brought the patient, you know, brought them here. And just a complete lack of problem-solving skills from the top down. And people like you, Jeremy, and like people like me, that when we've explored many other options before going into treatment, like, and I'm not sitting here saying like we really needed it, but like there are people that do put in their due diligence to try and problem solve, and there are those that look at it as a crutch, and it cripples our resource availability in mental health.
I think that's some of the issues. Everybody's looking for somebody else to fix that
Somebody
problem.
else fix the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that kind of tails back to personal responsibility.
And accountability,
yeah, personal accountability and responsibility, and we've kind of, as a society, gotten away from that, where, yeah, people feel entitled that someone else is going to come in and fix their problems. People use the 911 system for that. People use everything for that. It's, yes, I have a problem. You have to fix it for me.
And yeah, it's you know, you see PD solving domestic arguments, not like fist fight domestic arguments. It's like disputes, neighborly disputes. You know, you see the hospitals plagued because resources are unavailable for somebody to stay warm or stay fed or stay medicated. You see the 911 system being crippled, but it's just, if the expectation has got to be in mental health that the first step is personal accountability and responsibility.
And consequences. There are consequences to your actions.
Sometimes, and it's as simple as the word being no. No is a consequence.
Yeah. So, where did we go wrong in our society? At what point did we say, this is okay?
I got a theory.
I'd love to hear it.
I think it began in the early 90s with the overdiagnoses. Is that the word? Where we overdiagnosed ADHD.
I have it further back.
I have a different
70s.
theory. I have an even different theory than that. I think it started in the 40s and 50s, or even earlier. And I think it's just been a slow progression. And every step we started somewhere in the past down this path, and every step has led us farther down. It's no different than the issue that we're dealing with right now. And I won't go into that, but it's time to say, okay, we have to stop. We have to change directions. We need a new plan because what we're doing isn't working. And, you know, and that goes for fire service, mental health, and society in general. Because where we're headed is not a great place. And if you just take a half a step back and look at it, it's fairly obvious. We can't continue to do this and thrive.
You know what's interesting is that like our mental health resources are growing, but our suicide rates are increasing. Fascinating.
Yeah. Why is that?
It almost makes you just want to stop everything. Be like, well, let's just go back to before we had these resources because it worked then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, but I think it's a perfect example. It goes back to there's no problem solving. There's no personal accountability. You know, it's somebody else is going to fix this for me. Well, when that somebody else isn't available,
or
what do you
just
do?
won't because they shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
So do you think some of the issue might be that we rely on schools too much to teach our kids and they don't get that education at home and the support they need at home as a child because you have both parents working ungodly hours
I think
to stay afloat.
to me, I've always imagined the home being the foundation and the school being the refining tool.
Should be.
And more and more, I mean, we can look back at this pandemic, just the amount of kids that didn't eat because they weren't in school. So there's obviously so many more issues going on there. But I think
the suicide rate for kids went up. Darn it, because they need that social interaction. Being at home and learning on a computer isn't going to work.
It's not the same.
But guess what? If anything, it should have went down because get your ass outside.
Yeah, but that's not.
Yeah, but people don't want their kids to go outside because you can't, because of the way society is. I mean, child sex trafficking has been huge in the news, right? Mm-hmm. And really shining a light and missing kids and all of that. It's hard to trust. It's not like when, and I'm sure it was a problem when we were kids, but I mean, I know I got told to get out, get your bike, go with your friends. I lived in a smaller town, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, same here.
But you could go and be gone all day long before you come back for dinner.
Yeah.
No cell phone. No nothing.
That was great.
Yeah, I mean, I spent.
Great.
But small towns you can live that. Cities? Yeah. No.
I mean, I spent every day that I was not in the school outside, year round. I was in the woods or I was outside, in the yard, doing whatever.
We were always hanging out with friends.
I was usually making a mess. Dug a lot of holes. Made a lot of ruts in the yard.
No, we were building bike ramps and playing basketball, football, baseball.
Yeah.
Even soccer. Or doing something, going to the town pool or this person's house, that person's house. We kind of rotated it during the summer.
It was so much fun.
I mean, we had a 3-car garage back then, and it's so a huge.
Oh, Mr. Fancy Pants.
really?
I'm just going to humble brag here with a 3-car garage.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. And everybody,
had
all the kids in the neighborhood would be at our house till 2, 3 in the morning playing basketball. And there'd be like 20, 30 kids, so we'd rotate 5 on 5. And everybody got, and you had from senior in high school to not even in kindergarten yet. And just the neighborhood.
I can just imagine the moss thing that went on.
No, see, but it wasn't even like that. I mean,
Well, you missed out on prime opportunities.
we didn't do that to the little kids, but like, because I think I was maybe a 8th grader freshman.
So were you the water boy?
No, I was the guy that got my shot blocked all the time because I had no height. Like, I was Michael. Yeah, there was a lot of that. Clank.
Make it rain. It's raining bricks.
Like, all right, I'm gonna work on my assist game.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun, and there was hardly ever any fights. There were some arguments, disagreements, but parents never said anything because you're in the neighborhood. And it was so much fun, but you had that social interaction.
Yeah.
And everybody.
Well, and I think that's another layer to that is you also knew where the boundaries were. Your parents taught you how to behave, which led you to be able to socialize in a group without having those kind of interactions.
I hear people like, well, I'm a single parent. I ain't got time for that. My mom was worked 3 jobs. It's just still, like, it doesn't take time to talk and teach. You know what I mean? Like,
well, so we've had that conversation as far as mental health and being a priority, right? So it's about priorities.
Yeah.
And again, personal accountability. What's your priority? Is your priority that your child is going to grow up and be a productive member of society and not a total shitbag? Then guess what? You make time. You figure it out. And don't rely on other people to solve your problems. Be an adult.
We got way off topic.
We got so far off topic.
but I still think it ties together. If we're talking about
Well, expectations. Can go
Expectations.
Yeah.
But in regards to mental health, I mean,
I think it all plays a factor in it.
Oh, I don't disagree at all.
I mean, from day one, it starts playing a factor.
Yeah.
Even you don't realize it, of course, as a baby, but your brain does.
Yeah.
Even though it's still forming and learning, but
and I think so. Those early formative years, right? So, the interactions that you have with your parents, with your siblings, your family, and then going to school and the neighborhood and all that stuff. That helps you be able to cope and rebound from the trauma that you're going to see later on.
yeah.
Because you start to develop those copings without even really knowing it.
Well, I think letting a kid struggle a little bit is not a bad thing.
it's like herd immunity for mental health.
Yeah. essentially.
That's not a bad analogy.
No,
But, letting that kid struggle a little bit, trying to figure something out. Don't just do it for him. If you just do it for them, they're not going to learn how to figure bigger things out.
How many parents, I mean, what's the classic parent line? Like if your kid falls, your choice is run there and comfort and pick them up or hide your ass around a corner and see what they do.
Yeah.
Like, you're still there. Like, and that's the thing. Like, being there sometimes means not being there. Being ready to catch them, being ready to support them. But, I read a little story on Facebook, whatever. So who knows if it was even true, but it talked about how every summer, this kid would take the bus and go visit grandma. And dad would ride with him. And one year, he finally got old enough. He's like, I want to do it by myself. And so his dad's like, okay, well, here you go. Here's a letter. Keep it in your pocket. If anything goes wrong, open it. And so the kid gets on the bus. He's like, Mr. Independent. On the bus, and he was having a hard time. He was scared. He was lonely. Mm-hmm. So he pulled open the letter. His dad wrote him, and dad said, 5 rows behind you. And I think that's what it's got to be. And even in regards to our mental health, like, we can be there. Like, for those that we love, for our friends, like, there always we'll be there, but there has to be the expectation of accountability. Like, we have to learn and take pride in it. Take pride in overcoming things by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that's lost, and it's killing us.
Yeah.
Metaphorically and actually.
Yeah.
You always feel better whenever you accomplish something on your own.
Yeah.
I know it's not mental health, but that closet that I did. Yeah, I struggled. There's a lot of cuss words. I hit some stuff. But when I was done, you have that pride. Your chest is out a little bit. I stood a little bit taller. I felt like I was 5'8".
And you have vested interest in it. I'm sorry, but here's the truth. It is no different than patches. It is the same reason you get upset with that. You have the pride and the accountability that you did that on your own. And when she breaks, you get a little more pissy because you're invested in it a little more. Mm-hmm. And if anybody's going to talk shit on patches, it's going to be you.
Yep.
Or those of us that may have toted it out. But what I'm saying...
What if you wrote it?
But you know what I mean? Like, that applies to your mental health, too.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And knowing when enough's enough and that you have to ask for help. Because there's no shame in that.
And or cut the cord.
Yeah. Because there's no shame in saying, okay, I can't deal with this by myself. I've tried, and that's the thing. You got to try. You have to put effort in. Mm-hmm. Make the attempt. And then if you're struggling, and you can't get it done, you can't get it done. Okay. All right. What am I missing here? Oh, it's this bolt goes here. Cool.
Son of a bitch, I knew it.
Yeah. And then you can cuss and kick the tires and, it's fine. But yeah, at least make the attempt. Sort your problems out yourself or try. Sometimes you're going to need a professional.
If you have multiple people telling you the same thing.
But guess what? Guess what's great? When you can go into that professional and say, I've done this. This kind of worked. This didn't really work. This definitely didn't work. Here's kind of the situation. I'm thinking this. What do you think? Like, it's a conversation. It is not a reliant, like, here, hold my hand and help me through this. It is be a teammate and help me figure out how we can overcome this.
Yeah.
And it's like Kirsty said earlier, it's just somebody else solved my problem, and that's
what it seems like.
It's
anymore.
crippling. And so, I mean, to any of our subscribers listening now, like, that's the one thing I will encourage you to do. Like, always ask for help. Always ask for help. But get a game plan. Get a plan of attack. We see it. We see it in the medical field. We see it in law enforcement. We see it in the fire service. We'll sit down and we'll say, like, we pre-plan.
Yeah.
Like, everything has an algorithm, and we'll follow it as best we can. And then when things go awry, then say, hey, help. Yeah.
You got to be able to think on your feet.
But there's got to be critical thinking involved, and you've got to have some sort of personal responsibility. I'm telling you it works. We're all telling you it works.
But you're gonna come to me with a problem. You better have a couple solutions in your back pocket.
Yeah. Or at least things that you've tried.
Yeah. I mean, if you tried 5 things and they failed, that's no shame in failing.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan said it best. How many times did he fail in his life? How many shots did he miss for a game winner? And what did he do? Picked himself up, brushed himself off, and kept moving forward.
Yeah.
6-time NBA champion.
And still better than LeBron James.
He's 6-0 in the finals.
Yeah, but that's the thing. And so there is always a way forward. Always. There's something.
You gotta clear that brush, man.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Sometimes you can't see the path.
Yeah. And there's always something that you haven't tried, something that you haven't tried long enough and stuck with. Because
a lot of it's a slow burn.
Yeah. And that's the thing is everybody wants a quick fix. Guess what? Like we talked about earlier, this is not a quick fix thing. It's a process. It's not like you're going to go into the gym and do 2 push-ups and come out looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's not how mental health works.
That'd be awesome.
It would be super awesome. But
He's a little too big though.
That's what
Thomas
she said.
Jane the Punisher.
nah.
Yeah, he was that right ripped.
Anyway,
Does that bother you?
what?
I'll try anything once. Fuck it.
But that's the thing is sometimes you have to do something for an extended period of time to see the results.
Yeah.
And mental
Arnold
health is
didn't get big in a day.
Mental health is very. It's what's the word I'm looking for? You can compare it to like being fit physically to being fit mentally. It's the same thing. It's a process, and it's something that you have to do daily.
It takes a lot of work and having a good work ethic for it.
Yep.
So, honestly, since we're talking about physically fit, we brought up Arnold. I saw a college speech he gave. It's the what's that called?
Commencement address.
Commencement. Couldn't think of the word, but he was talking about how everybody said he was a self-made man, and he threw his bullshit flag on it. He goes, "No, I had a lot of help along the way." So yeah, I mean, he got to where he was by working hard, but nobody saw all those people behind him helping him. Other bodybuilders, new exercises. When he came here, he $23. I think is what he said. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Thanksgiving. They brought tons of food over to his place. Brought him plates, glasses, silverware, furniture, stuff he didn't have. But that way he could keep working on his dream.
Yeah.
Same thing with mental health. Yeah, you're here, but to get here, you need some help. Somebody to push you along the way. But you got to do the majority of the work.
Yeah.
No shame in it. No shame at all.
No. As long as you're doing the work.
If people are gonna, if you stop doing the work, people are gonna stop helping.
Yeah.
Like how many times have I come over to help you with your Jeep? I mean, I'm not a mechanic by any means, but
Yeah, but you can hold a flashlight with the best of them.
damn right, skill I learned as a kid.
And he won't scream at you like
No,
most dads.
Because I'll throw his flashlight into the street and go home. I'll take this. I'm your only friend.
You've yelled at me 9 times. I swear to God, the 10th time I'm leaving.
Yep. I will never talk to you until tomorrow.
I mean, like, I mean,
I'll text you when I get home.
but you ask for help, and if you had to come over to help you, and you're gonna put the bumper on. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not my Jeep. I'll help you.
Yeah.
Kind of like when my brother did the basement. It wasn't me doing all the work or him doing all the work. It was doing it together.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place.
Team effort.
Yeah.
We started here. We did this a few times. We went over here, back to here, but then we got back here.
Yeah.
It's the Jeremy Bearimy.
What?
Come on, that's not a good place reference.
Oh my God.
That's the timeline in the afterlife. Jeremy Bearimy. Love that show. I watched it 4 times already.
Yeah. Maybe you should switch to something else.
We just got HBO Max
Oh, speaking of,
because I want to watch the Batman, the Zack Snyder cuts. And there's a ton of stuff on there. I'm going to watch Westworld now. I've never watched The Sopranos. I'm going to watch that because Jane loves it.
I found a good new movie on Netflix the other day. It's a couple years old,
That's
but
an oxymoron.
it's called The King. It's on Netflix.
I think I've seen previews for that.
Story of it would be Henry V.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Definitely recommended it.
Yeah.
What was it you watched the other day?
I watched Jiu-Jitsu yesterday, the new Nick Cage movie on Netflix.
Oh, I do want to see
So
that
the
still.
premise of the movie is fantastic, right? If you like sci-fi. So the premise is every 6 years, this comet buzzes the Earth. And when that happens, this portal opens up and this alien comes through. And this alien is the one who basically taught the humans how to use martial arts to fight.
Is Nick Cage the alien?
No.
Damn.
So, but every 6 years he comes through and he fights 9 champions to the death. And if they don't fight, like if somebody says, they run away or they're not going to fight or they don't have 9 or whatever, then the alien stays and kills everybody. So, the alien can basically you can't hardly kill him. I mean, you cut him up and stab him and whatever, and he just heals right back up for the most part.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's
So the premise is great, and it had some Frank Grillo was in it, Tony Jaa was in it, so it had some legit action people in it. But it literally was probably, I don't know how long it was, maybe an hour and a half or whatever. But it was basically an hour and a half fight scene interspersed with slow motion fight scene. And so the alien, the total ripoff of Predator. It could be invisible, but then it could run really fast.
How are you supposed to beat that?
Yeah. Well, they ended up.
Don't tell me the movie.
Yeah, I won't. But
Because I want to watch it.
yeah, they had a plan.
Willy's Wonderland.
Not watching.
Nuke
it.
'em.
All right, Duke.
So the premise of the movie was great. The execution was.
Is it a Netflix movie?
It's in the Walmart bin.
I don't think it was.
I missed the Walmart bin. I don't like Walmart. But
I don't
missed the
think it
bin.
was a. I don't think it was a Netflix original. So
What movie is that? They're making a second one of
Extraction.
Extraction. Thank you.
Yes.
They're making a second one?
Yes.
Sweet.
Because the way they ended it.
Did you ever see The Old Guard?
Yes.
Yes.
I love
They're making a second one of that too.
I loved that movie.
Yep. Because they set it up for a second one.
Yeah.
And they're gonna make with that Extraction.
So
They
apparently,
never really said if he was dead or not.
yeah. Apparently, they are going. It's going to be a whole series. The
Extraction?
Extraction thing is.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Okay.
See, the Matrix 4 comes out this year.
I don't care.
Have you seen Godzilla vs. Kong?
Really don't care.
Oh, I'm so stoked.
I saw the original one from like 1950.
Have you seen the Snyder Cut yet?
That was the best one I ever made.
I saw part of the Batman vs Superman, and the part I saw made a lot more. I was like, movie already makes more sense. So I can't. I've got it on my list. I just haven't.
Also, Falcon and the Winter Soldier's great.
Haven't started.
It's great.
I haven't seen it yet either. So been busy
All right.
buying vehicles.
Yeah. Well, Sounds like we all have a lot of TV to watch. So
Yeah, since our last episode, by the way, Chris bought a new truck and I bought a new bike.
I have.
Jeremy, your turn.
Yeah. No.
Bless you.
I'm getting rid of things. Anybody wants to buy
That
a
sucks.
1995 Jeep Wrangler YJ with a 3.5-inch lift?
Okay, do you really think anybody who watches this is going to buy that after all of the trash we've talked on it?
No, probably not.
It's not a bad Jeep. I like
Yeah.
the Jeep.
It'll be fun for somebody.
Yeah.
So just not for me anymore.
Get Cupkey to buy it.
I wouldn't sell it to him. He could offer me $30,000 for that Jeep, and I wouldn't sell it to him.
That's dumb.
I'll sell it to him for
I'll
$30,000.
sell it to
Yeah. Right now.
So, all right. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Remember, if you're having a problem, tell somebody. Or if you know somebody that's having a problem, talk to them. And take care of yourself.